So, let's get into it. You see Russia and Venezuela hanging out and you think, wait, what? They're not exactly next-door neighbors. One is freezing cold, full of bears and vodka. The other is tropical hot, full of beaches and arepas. It's like seeing a polar bear and a macaw sharing a milkshake. But this friendship makes perfect sense when you look closer. It's not about the weather, it's about power. It's about money. And most of all, it's about one big flashing neon sign that says, "Hey America, look over here." This whole thing is a global chess game. And Venezuela is Russia's knight, placed right in America's backyard. It's strategic, it's bold, and it's getting spicier every day. This isn't a new romance, it's a long-term relationship. It's been brewing for years like a good strong pot of coffee. Or maybe a bad one, depending on who you ask. Russia sees a friend in Venezuela. A friend who also thinks the United States is a little too bossy. You know that kid in school who always tells everyone what to do? America is kinda like that on the world stage. So Russia and Venezuela bonded over their shared eye rolls. They decided, hey, maybe if we stick together we can push back. It's the ultimate, the enemy of my enemy is my friend situation, played out with tanks and oil barrels instead of notes passed in class. This whole alliance is a message, a big, loud, unmistakable message. Russia is telling the United States, you play in my backyard, I'll play in yours. America has been getting involved near Russia's borders for decades. Think about NATO expansion. So, Russia decided to return the favor. It flew its planes, sailed its ships, and signed its deals right under America's nose in Latin America. It's a bold move. It's like your neighbor complaining about your music, so you set up a DJ booth on their front lawn. It's petty, it's provocative, and it makes for great international drama. So what do they each get out of it? It's not just about annoying the US for Russia, it's about projecting power. It shows the world that Russia is a global player, not just a regional one. They can reach across the ocean and make friends and enemies wherever they want. For Venezuela, it's about survival. Their economy is a mess, inflation is sky high. They need friends with deep pockets and big guns. Russia provides loans, weapons, and political cover. It's a lifeline. Venezuela gets a powerful big brother to protect it from the schoolyard bully, and Russia gets a strategic outpost in the Western Hemisphere. It's a win-win with a side of global tension. Let's hop in the time machine, go back to 1999. A man named Hugo Chavez comes to power in Venezuela. He was a charismatic guy, big personality, red shirt, he had a vision, he called it 21st century socialism, but his main hobby? Riling up the United States. He loved it. He would go on TV and give these long speeches calling America the empire. It was his thing. And while he was doing that, he looked around for friends who felt the same way. And guess who raised their hand? Russia. This is where it all started. Chavez and Russia became fast friends, united by a common goal, to build a world with less American influence. Chavez wasn't just talk. He started buying things from Russia, lots of things, fighter jets, tanks, rifles, you name it, he bought it. He wanted to modernize Venezuela's military and Russia was happy to sell. This wasn't just a shopping spree, it was a statement. He was turning his back on American military hardware and embracing Russian equipment. This made Washington very nervous. A country with massive oil reserves just a short flight from Florida was now arming itself with Russian weapons. The friendship was sealed in steel and gunpowder. It was a clear signal that Venezuela was no longer playing by America's rules. Then in 2013, Chavez passed away. His hand-picked successor Nicolas Maduro took over. Now Maduro didn't have the same charisma as Chavez. He was more like the quiet guy who inherits the family business. But he inherited one very important thing, the friendship with Russia, and he needed it more than ever. The Venezuelan economy started to tank, oil prices fell, US sanctions hit hard, people were struggling. Maduro found himself in a tough spot, so he called his friends in Moscow, and Russia answered. They doubled down on their support, knowing that a loyal ally in a crisis is better than a fair-weather friend. So Maduro continued the legacy. He kept the anti-US rhetoric going. He kept the military ties strong. He defended Russia on the world stage, even after controversial moves like the invasion of Ukraine. He knew which side his bread was buttered on. Russia, in turn, kept propping him up. They restructured Venezuela's debt. They sent plane loads of advisors and supplies. They recognized his government after disputed elections when many Western countries would not. This wasn't just a friendship anymore. It became a dependency. A partnership forged in history, cemented by necessity, and aimed squarely at their mutual rival across the Caribbean. Okay, let's talk about geography for a second. Look at a map. Russia is huge, it's gigantic, it's the biggest country on Earth by a long shot. It spans 11 time zones. You can have breakfast in one part of Russia and dinner in another part on the same day, and it's still the same day. This isn't just a fun fact, this size gives Russia a certain mentality. We are a great power mentality. It has endless forests, mountains, and plains. It also has a massive border to defend. This history of being so vast and powerful means Russia doesn't like being told what to do, especially not by America. This enormous size comes with enormous resources. Oil, gas, minerals, you name it. Russia has it. This wealth allows it to fund a powerful military and an ambitious foreign policy. It can afford to make big bets on the global stage. Supporting a country like Venezuela, thousands of miles away, is one of those bets. It costs money. It takes resources. But for a country of Russia's scale, it's a calculated expense. It's an investment in their global standing. They see it as punching back against an America that they feel is constantly trying to box them in. Russia's size gives it the confidence and the cash to project power far beyond its borders. Because Russia is so big, it has always been concerned with what it calls strategic depth. That's a fancy way of saying they want friendly neighbors and a buffer zone between them and their rivals. For centuries, Russia has tried to control the areas around it. But in the modern world, that's not enough. Their main rival, the United States, has military bases all over the globe, all around Russia. So Russia decided to play the same game. If America can put bases near Russia, why can't Russia have friends near America? Venezuela is the perfect place. It's a foothold in the Western Hemisphere, a friendly port for their navy, and a friendly runway for their bombers. This is why Russia's actions in Venezuela are not just random. They are part of a bigger plan. A plan rooted in its history, its geography, and its sense of self. A giant country doesn't think like a small country, it thinks on a global scale. It sees the world as a chessboard. For Russia, putting a piece in Latin America is just a logical move to counter America's pieces in Eastern Europe and Asia. It's a way of saying, we are a world power, we are here, and we are not going away. The sheer scale of Russia helps explain the boldness of its foreign policy. It's a giant flexing its muscles on the other side of the world. At its heart, this whole thing is about politics. It's a geopolitical rivalry, a clash of titans. For decades, since the end of the Cold War, the United States has been the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, the only superpower. Russia doesn't like that. They believe the world should be multipolar. That means having several big powers balancing each other out, not just one country calling all the shots. So, Russia's support for Venezuela is a direct challenge to America's dominance. It's a way of saying, your reign as the sole leader is over. It's a power move designed to chip away at US influence, one ally at a time. Latin America has long been considered America's backyard. This is based on something called the Monroe Doctrine from way back in the 1800s. Basically, the US told European powers to stay out of the Western Hemisphere. For a long time they did. But now Russia is crashing the party, and they weren't invited. By building a strong alliance with Venezuela, Russia is directly challenging that old idea. They are showing that they can and will operate wherever they want, even in a region America considers its own turf. It's like finding your neighbor has set up a barbecue in your garden. It's provocative. It's meant to send a message that the old rules no longer apply. This strategy serves multiple purposes for Russia. First, it creates a distraction. When the US is busy worrying about Russian bombers landing in Venezuela, it has less time and energy to focus on issues in Russia's neighborhood, like Ukraine or Georgia. It's a strategic diversion. Second, it gives Russia leverage. If the US wants to negotiate with Russia about something, Russia can bring Venezuela to the table. They can say, you want us to back off in Venezuela? Then you better give us something we want in Europe. It's a bargaining chip. A valuable piece in the high-stakes game of international diplomacy. And for Venezuela, this political alliance is everything. President Maduro's government is not recognized by many Western nations, including the US, which called his 2024 re-election a sham. But Russia recognizes him. China recognizes him. They give him international legitimacy. They block UN resolutions against his government. This political shield is just as important as the military and economic support. It allows Maduro to stay in power and defy the US together. Russia and Venezuela stand against what they call the hegemonic actions of the West. They are partners in a political struggle to reshape the world order and reduce American power. Okay, so let's talk about the black gold. You know, Texas tea, oil. Venezuela is basically floating on the stuff. It actually has the largest proven oil reserves in the entire world. Yeah, more than Saudi Arabia, more than anyone really. This should make Venezuela one of the richest countries on the planet. But, it doesn't. Mismanagement, corruption, and those crippling US sanctions have totally wrecked its oil industry. Production has crashed. Where they used to pump over 3 million barrels a day, now they struggle to produce around 1 million. It's honestly a tragic story of squandered potential. But even with all these problems, that oil is still in the ground. And you guessed it, Russia is very, very interested. Russia is a huge energy producer itself, but it's also a pretty savvy player in global energy politics. By getting involved in Venezuela, Russia gains influence over another major oil source. It's all about controlling the taps. Russian energy companies like Rosneft have invested billions of dollars in Venezuela's oil fields. They've helped keep the industry from collapsing completely, and, in return, they get a share of the oil, often at a discount. It's honestly a smart business move. They're buying low, hoping that one day, when things get better, their investment will pay off big time. It's a long-term economic gamble. This energy partnership also gives Russia a powerful tool against the United States. America uses financial sanctions as its primary weapon. By helping Venezuela sell its oil and bypass these sanctions, Russia weakens America's economic power. They help create alternative financial systems and trade routes that don't rely on the US dollar. This is like a huge strategic goal for Russia. They want to de-dollarize the global economy. Every barrel of Venezuelan oil that's sold for Russian rubles or Chinese yuan instead of US dollars is a small victory in that larger economic war. It's a slow and steady process of chipping away at America's financial dominance. For Venezuela, Russia's help is a lifeline. With US sanctions blocking them from most Western markets, they desperately need customers and investors. Russia provides both. They buy Venezuelan oil, and they provide the technology and expertise needed to keep the wells pumping. When US oil giant Chevron pulled back, it left a huge void. Russia is stepping in to fill that void. This economic relationship is, well, symbiotic. Venezuela gets the cash it needs to survive. Russia gets cheap oil, a strategic asset, and a chance to stick it to the US. The oil is the glue that holds this alliance together. It's the fuel for their shared resistance. The last couple of years have been busy, really busy. The friendship between Russia and Venezuela went from "we're close" to "we're signing papers." In late 2024, President Maduro flew to Moscow. This wasn't just a friendly visit, he came back with a massive 10-year agreement. We're talking about deals covering everything. Hydrocarbons, which is a fancy word for oil and gas, finance to help them move money around, aviation, technology, and even pharmaceuticals. Basically, Russia agreed to help Venezuela in almost every important sector. This wasn't just a handshake, it was a deep, long-term commitment. Trade between them jumped by 64% in 2024 alone. That's a huge leap. But it gets more intense. In November 2024, they signed another 17 agreements. These were serious. These deals were about security and military cooperation, stretching all the way to 2030 and beyond. They agreed to work together on intelligence gathering and counter-espionage. That means sharing secrets about their enemies. You can probably guess who their main target is. They also signed deals on using drones and other advanced military tech. Russia openly said it was ready to supply Venezuela's armed forces with the latest and greatest weapons. This is like your friend not just giving you a ride, but handing you the keys to a brand new sports car with a full tank of gas. Then came 2025. Things got even more heated. The US decided to flex its muscles. It deployed a huge amphibious squadron off the coast of Venezuela. We're talking ships like the USS San Antonio and the USS Iwo Jima carrying 4,500 troops. The official reason was combating organized crime, but everyone knew what it was really about. It was a show of force, a warning. How did Russia and Venezuela react? They didn't blink. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov immediately came out and said, "We stand with Maduro." And Maduro in response mobilized his civilian militias, telling them to be ready to defend the country. It was a classic standoff, a tense moment of brinkmanship in the Caribbean. This year, 2025, also marks 80 years of diplomatic relations between Russia and Venezuela. They are celebrating it by getting closer than ever. The recent deals and military posturing show that this is not a casual friendship. It's a full-blown strategic alliance. Russia is investing heavily, politically, economically, and militarily. in keeping Maduro's government in power. And Maduro is relying on that support to withstand pressure from the US. Every new agreement, every shipment of equipment, every joint military exercise deepens the ties and raises the stakes in this international drama. They are building a fortress of cooperation, and they are daring the US to try and knock it down. Imagine there's a club, but it's a club you're forced into. The We Got Sanctioned by America Club. Russia is a charter member. Venezuela is a platinum member. This shared experience is a powerful bonding agent. Sanctions are America's go-to move. If they don't like what a country is doing, they hit them with economic penalties. They block their access to the global financial system. They make it hard for them to trade. It's a way of trying to force a country to change its behavior without firing a single shot. Both Russia and Venezuela have been on the receiving end of this for years, and they are both tired of it. For Russia, the big sanctions hit after they annexed Crimea in 2014 and later invaded Ukraine. The West, led by the US, unleashed wave after wave of economic restrictions. They targeted Russian banks, energy companies, and powerful individuals. The goal was to cripple the Russian economy and punish them for their actions. For Venezuela, the sanctions came because of what the US calls democratic backsliding, human rights abuses, and corruption under Maduro. They targeted Venezuela's state-owned oil company, making it nearly impossible for them to sell their most valuable resource on the open market. This has devastated their economy. So what do you do when you're both in the same sanctions boat? You learn to row together. Russia and Venezuela have become experts at finding ways to get around US sanctions. They trade with each other using their own currencies like the ruble to avoid using the US dollar. They use complex shipping routes and shell companies to move oil and other goods without being detected. Russia provides Venezuela with financial advice and technical help on how to survive under economic pressure. They are essentially teaching a masterclass in sanctions busting. It's a partnership born out of a shared struggle against a common economic enemy. This common front against sanctions is about more than just survival. It's about ideology. Both countries argue that the US uses sanctions as a tool of illegal coercion. They say it's a form of economic warfare that hurts ordinary people. By working together to defy these sanctions, they are making a political statement. They are trying to show the world that it's possible to resist American economic pressure. They want to create a global system that is immune to US sanctions. This shared goal of breaking free from America's financial grip is a powerful motivator, turning two sanctioned nations into determined partners in defiance. Support isn't just about money and secret deals. Sometimes you have to make a big, loud, public show of it. And that's exactly what Russia does for Venezuela. This comes in two forms: military muscle and political mouth. Let's start with the military part. Every now and then, Russia sends its hardware on a little vacation to the Caribbean. We're talking about long-range strategic bombers, the kind that can carry nuclear weapons, landing at Venezuelan air bases. They also send their naval ships, including advanced frigates, for joint exercises with the Venezuelan Navy. These moves are not about starting a war. They are about sending a message. It's a form of psychological warfare. When a Russian Tu-160 Blackjack bomber lands near Miami, the Pentagon notices. Everyone notices. It's Russia saying, "We can touch you. We are here. Your backyard is not as secure as you think." It forces the US military to react, to spend resources tracking these planes and ships. For Venezuela, it's a huge morale boost. Seeing a powerful Russian warship docked in your port when America is threatening you feels pretty good. It's a visible symbol of a powerful friend having your back. Then there's the political support. This is just as important. In the world of diplomacy, words are weapons. After the disputed July 2024 election, where Maduro claimed a third term, the US and many European countries cried foul. They refused to recognize the result. But who was one of the first to call and congratulate Maduro? You guessed it, Russia. They gave his victory a stamp of legitimacy on the world stage. At the United Nations, Russia consistently uses its veto power as a permanent member of the Security Council to block any actions against Venezuela. They are Venezuela's diplomatic bodyguard. This combination of military posturing and unwavering political backing creates a powerful shield for Maduro's government. The military moves serve as a deterrent, making any potential U.S. military action against Venezuela much riskier and more complicated. Would the U.S. risk a direct confrontation with Russian personnel on the ground? It's a question they have to ask. The political support isolates the U.S. and its allies, showing that there isn't a united global front against Venezuela. Russia's guns and words work in perfect harmony to prop up their ally and challenge their rival. It's a masterclass in modern hybrid warfare. So where does all this lead? We have Russia, a global giant, locking arms with Venezuela, a struggling but resource-rich nation. We have an angry United States watching from across the water. We have deals for oil, guns, and money being signed left and right. The tension is real. This isn't just a news story you read and forget. This is a chess game where the pieces are real countries and the stakes are incredibly high. The Russia-Venezuela alliance is a major flashpoint in the new global power struggle. It's a bold experiment in building a world that doesn't revolve around Washington, D.C. Will it work? The future is unwritten. A lot depends on what happens next. Will Venezuela's economy finally recover with Russian and maybe even Chinese help? We know Venezuela's vice president has been talking to China about getting them to invest again. If China joins the party, things could get really interesting. What will the U.S. do? Will they increase the pressure with more sanctions? Will they continue military patrols? Or will they try a different approach, maybe diplomacy? Every move by one player will cause a reaction from the others. It's a delicate and dangerous dance. The situation is fluid, and it could change in an instant. This story is bigger than just 3 countries. It's about the kind of world we are going to live in. Are we heading back to a Cold War-style standoff, with 2 clear sides and a lot of tension? Or are we moving towards a multipolar world with many different centers of power, all competing and cooperating at the same time? The alliance between Russia and Venezuela is a clear sign that the old US-led order is being challenged. How that challenge plays out will define international politics for decades to come. It's a story that affects everyone because the balance of global power shapes our economies, our security, and our future. And that's where you come in. This isn't a spectator sport, this is a conversation. What do you think about all this? Is Russia's support for Venezuela a smart strategic move or a risky gamble? Is the US right to be concerned, or are they overreacting? What's the best way forward for the people of Venezuela who are caught in the middle of this great power game? There are no easy answers, but we have to ask the question. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about it. Let's figure this out together. Because the more we talk, the more we understand. And understanding is the first step to finding a way forward. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like down below. It would really help me out. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of our future videos. Also, feel free to leave a comment with your thoughts and share the video with friends who might be interested in the topic. Thanks so much for watching. See you soon.